Alrighty, we should be live diddly-ive. I think we're live. Just do a little check, make sure the sound is okay. If you guys just chime in and chat, let's make sure the audio is okay, things aren't too out of whack or out of sync. And if that is all good, then we shall begin the Tech Yes City New Year's Eve live stream for 2022 going into 2023. And this is a pretty, just get relaxed as well. As always, get relaxed. And we've got, this time around, we usually do the Jar Jar mug, but this time around we got Buzz Lightyear. So I picked this up on special. They were clearing them out for $1.50. So I picked up a Buzz Lightyear cup for $1.50 Aussie. So that would be like $1 US for a Buzz Lightyear cup. So I think that was the bargain I got. So, and also, sorry that Parts Hunt hasn't come yet. I had Christmas dinner, and then we just decided, me and the boy just decided to have fun, just relax, have a really great time, enjoy Australia. The weather has been absolutely amazing on the Gold Coast, which is kind of unfortunate. I mean, fortunate for us, but like in the rest of the world, there's just been, I've heard there's been like blizzards and crazy weather. And so maybe if you live in those parts of the world, you'd be like, just, yo, let's just pack up our bags and move to the Gold Coast, Australia. That might be an option for you. And get yourself a cup of tea, relax. If it's beer's more your kind of thing, I'm quoting Green Ham Gaming with that one. If a beer's more your kind of thing, relax. Hey, whatever happened to Green Ham Gaming too? I got to message him and wish him a happy new year, because I'd love to see him make more content. I miss that guy's content, especially his budget PC stuff. So hopefully we can send him an open letter on this live stream and tell him to get cracking. And that's what it's all about. Also as well, we got asked earlier in the live stream about the miner uppercut. So you got to give miners an uppercut. So we're going to get into our first story here, which is the RTX 4070 Ti, which originally was the 4080 12GB. Coming in at $899. Now, I myself included, a lot of people just complaining. This is just ridiculous, Nvidia. This prices are way too high, especially if we look at the dollar index as well, the DXY. That was showing that in a lot of other countries, these graphics card prices have just increased astronomically. I mean, you're just looking at these things, you're like, whoa, okay, PC gaming, when did it just double in price? And that happened with the DXY in combination with inflation, in combination with these companies wanting to maintain high margins. And so what we've seen here really is the RTX 3090 is going to be pretty much, if we look at the RTX 4070 Ti, we're going to pull up the specs of this thing, because it's pretty much, I mean, Nvidia have laid out the specs themselves, but video cards just have a nice little graph summary here showing the three of them side by side. But you're going to be getting under half the CUDA cores of the 4090, but you should be getting, it doesn't always, like, just because you're adding more CUDA cores doesn't give it double the performance, but in this case, you'll probably be getting around similar to an RTX 3090 in performance, but it will be more power efficient because it's on that new TSMC node over the Samsung node. But this one's coming in now at $799 USD. It's going to be released in the next week. So in one week's time, you'll see reviews coming up. I haven't got a sample because I think one got sent to Japan by accident, so I'll probably miss out on some 4070 Ti coverage for you guys. I do apologize about that. But yeah, so that was unfortunate because there's no founders cards. That is the word on the street, and I can't really say anything, but it's looking like that is the case. There's going to be no founders cards for the 4070 Ti, and these are the specs. I mean, basically you've got a cut down 4080 16 gig where you've got literally like 25% of everything cut off, the video memory, the bit bus, but they have, it looks like the memory speeds and the CUDA cores, like the speeds, so what they do is they boost the cores a little bit higher, and so that basically catches up a little bit in performance. So you should expect this thing again right around probably about 15, maybe 20% slower than a 4080. However, it should be coming right around that 4090 that 3090 price point and performance. Except this is the thing, right? If we look at the 3090, if you guys are into used parts, right, you're getting, the problem with this is that the 3090 already exists, and it's just, in my opinion, you're getting 24 gigabytes of VRAM. So you're getting a much more beefier card for workstation applications. And in general, I think this is a better buy, especially if you can pick them up locally under 700 USD. Now I've got mine in my main rig. I got the 3090 for the mini ITX, and that was just absolutely, it's been amazing once you undervolt it. So I guess the 4070 Ti, if the 3070, the 4080 was selling bad, I think this card is actually going to sell worse than the 4080, and that was already selling really poorly. So we'll get onto some news very soon. And what's crack-a-lackin', boys? So people are in chat. Everyone's just getting comfortable as well. If you guys have any pressing questions as well, we'll answer them a little bit later on in the stream as well. And I mean, for instance, when does the turning $100 into high-end gaming season 2 resume? That's a good question as well. That's something I'll quickly answer right now, because I actually been thinking about that the last couple of days. I'm like, man, I got to get back into the $100 challenge because I enjoyed that the most. And it's just like, because I was moving between Japan and Australia, it just sort of like, I've got to get, especially, I can do it in Japan. Like, I don't mind doing that challenge in Japan. I think it would actually be a lot tougher in Japan and a lot more fun. It's just I had to get my credentials set up in Japan. So I finally got my residency card, and basically I can jump on these platforms to start selling my gear. So that's what I'm going to start doing over there. And then I want to do it legitimate. I don't want to use any influence that I have on this platform to sell my PCs. That's why I like to do it locally. And basically I want people buying off me who don't know who I am, because it's much more real for me to relay that information, relay that content back to you guys. And then, you know, because I built this channel off of basically just doing what I do behind the scenes, and people loved it so much it became the other job that I do, and that's making the content. So I do want to get back to that $100 flip up challenge. I absolutely loved it. Season 2 just took a hiatus, and because I went to Japan, and then it just, I want to pick that up. I might just actually just say, look, let's just have a look at the tally at the end of season 2 and just be like, okay, here's our PC that we finished up on season 2 with. Let's go on to season 3, because I got to start fresh. And that was actually going really well anyway. But I really do miss that series. I'll bring it back for you guys. You guys were loving it as well. And Stephen Hart asked as well, where is the majority of your audience based? So it's actually, the majority is the US, so United States of America. But it's actually, compared to other tech channels, say for instance, like if you look at a channel like Bitwit or Greg Salazar or Jay's 2 Cents, for example, I don't know like exact numbers, but I've been told through the grapevine that these guys will have maybe 50, close to 50% US audience, as opposed to me, I've got 25%. So a lot of my audience actually comes from Asia. So whether it be Japan, Korea, India, Malaysia, Philippines, Singapore, all that stuff. So I actually got a much bigger base in Asia for the audience that I have. So it's actually cool, because I think, you know, you got different opinions that come on Tech Yes City as opposed to the opinions that go on, say, Jay's 2 Cents or a Bitwit or something like that. So it's weird anyway. So, but that's, hopefully that answers that question as best as possible. But anyway, we got the 3090, 24 gigabytes of VRAM, 24 gigabytes of VRAM versus 12 gigabytes, cheaper price, better performance. I think the 3090 will slightly outperform the 4070 Ti. That's just my predictions. And so, I mean, there's nothing exciting about this card. There's nothing exciting about the 4070 Ti. And collab with Hardware Unboxed, man. So what, like, I'm just going to ask you guys straight up, what would I collab with Hardware Unboxed about? Like, we're actually on Twitter and we clash a lot. I mean, I'd love to collab with him, but what would we collab on? I mean, I can build a used PC, he can build a new PC perhaps, and we can check out the price performance, and that would be really good. So maybe I'll put that to Steve. Hey, look, here's $1,000 Aussie, you build a new PC, and I'll use $1,000 Australian and build a used PC, and maybe we can then put our PCs head to head. So, or if he wants to build a used PC or anything like that, yeah, actually, I'll just message him. I'll send him a DM after if you guys want to see that happen, because yeah, this channel exists because of you guys, and yeah, and you guys what you want to see. So you want to see the $100 flip up challenge come back and a collab with Hardware Unboxed. Okay, so if that's they're the 2 requests. And when will you test games with a long shelf life like World of Warcraft with ray tracing or squad? Nobody plays games YouTubers are testing and they're largely useless for most people. I do agree. I actually do agree with that. That's why I've been trying to test out Apex Legends and more esports games. So yeah, I will. Actually, I do want to check out World of Warcraft. And I've said this numerous times though, the biggest problem with World of Warcraft is someone needs to DM me and they need to trust me and they need to give me their account details, like, and their 2-factor authentication, right? So they're going to trust me with their whole World of Warcraft account, and they're going to be like, Brian, here's my World of Warcraft account. It's logged into the place that I want you to benchmark. This is where the FPS tanks the most. And guys, I promise you, I'll just do the benchmarking and I'm off. Then you can change your password. I won't steal your World of Warcraft account, but for me to go in and level up a character to get to that area that's really busy in World of Warcraft, I just don't have time for it. So the thing is with in Dota 2 as well, I got asked about Dota 2. The thing is with Dota 2 benchmarks is that like anything can play Dota 2 now. You can play Dota 2 on a potato and get good FPS. So like when I see all the latest hardware getting benched on Dota 2, I'm like, man, it's unnecessary. Like a 3060 Ti, for instance, will do 120 FPS 4K OLED, max settings. So the 3060 Ti is like max for 4K Dota 2. We got here some donations as well. John Dokek, a $1.49 with a cat symbol. Thanks, brother. I love cats, man. Cats are life. And then we got Vintage Hardware Reviewed, and New Zealand $5, coming in with the Kiwi $5. Do you think the RX 7900 XTX will pair well with my FX 9590? I just bought a Red Devil. Yeah, I think your FX 9590 is seriously going to be a bit of a problem here. I would take that thing out back while no one's looking. I mean, actually, you can do it while everyone's looking. Just get a hammer out and then just like, yeah, just smash it to bits and then start again. Because the FX, even on the used market, I'm going to tell you something about the FX CPUs. A lot of people are waking up with the AM3 stuff. No one wants to buy AM3. Like I tried the other week an 8-core FX 8300 gaming PC. Like put this thing up for really cheap, right? No one wants to buy it. People would rather just a first generation i7 than an FX 8300 CPU. So no one wants these CPUs. I think it's the 8320, the FX 8320. So like no one wants the FX CPUs. So yeah, so Hiro Take-san, he just says an FX, just donate it. Completely agree, just donate it, or you can get the hammer out. That's up. It's your choice. I mean, you'd probably be doing someone a favor with them not getting on the FX platform. It was, I mean, as much as you like, some YouTubers try to make the CPU look really good, but it just doesn't. It's just so slow. Like, if you got money, go and buy like even a first gen will be a better experience for gaming. Like it'll just play games better. It's much more smoother. You're gonna get a better experience. It's just gonna be a lot better. So FX and FX 9390. I mean, if you're really cold and you got, say for instance, solar battery, probably use that thing to heat your house. So that might be actually another use case scenario for the FX CPUs. So actually someone mentioned it in chat too, FX equals a room heater. Yeah, it's actually quite good at that. So FX CPUs are great donor CPUs to use their pins to repair Ryzen CPUs. Interesting. Yeah, I've got an old AM2 CPU. It's an old APU, one of those APUs that won't even boot to Windows because it's so slow. But yeah, you can take that. That's actually really good advice. Croup-man, you can take the pins off that and use it for some really good stuff. But we got some news here. So 4070 Ti, RTX 4070 Ti, right? This is going to couple in with the next piece of news that we've got up here. And sorry, so the launch date's 5th of January. This seems like when it's launching. So 6th of January in other places in the world that are a day ahead of the US. But we got here actually a really good article from Tom's Hardware, which comes from John Petty Research, which shows that desktop GPU sales have hit. This is the crazy thing, have hit a 20-year low, which, I mean, this data is actually pretty accurate on what's going on. But you can see here some really, like, GPU sales have just fell completely flat. And the sad thing is, out of all this, is the ongoing market share from Nvidia, AMD, and Intel. It's actually really worrying if you guys don't like monopolies, because Nvidia's like boosted up. Look at this end of this graph here. Nvidia's just boosted up and has taken like the highest market share it's ever taken, 86%. Nvidia's 86% of the whole discrete GPU market right now, and AMD's share dropped to 10%. I thought AMD would have done a lot better. I thought AMD would have been doing a lot better with the RX 6600. But I think, and this is the problem, I think the RX 6500 XT came out and the RX 6400 came out, right? And they were universally just, everyone had the same opinion. These cards were just garbage because they were essentially just like, they didn't have the features that you would expect from even sometimes an entry-level GPU. And I think that image, and this is the strong thing about marketing, right? A lot of you guys in the chat right now, you're tech enthusiasts, right? Intellect is a good part of you, right? You're constantly thinking, your brains work well, but there's a lot of people out there that don't think. They just see, and then they do. So if they see these titles, RX 6500 XT, terrible, and then they see RX 6600, they're just going to think, and this is what I mean, you got to always put yourself in that other person's shoes. They're just going to see that and they're going to go, that's bad too. That's bad too. Even though the RX 6600 is the opposite of the RX 6500 XT. It's literally like one of the best, if not the best value new GPU you can get right now. So that's the sad thing about releasing products that damage your whole stack. It's like having that crappy Pokemon card in your deck and it just ruins your whole game. And you're like, man, I wish I never put that Pokemon card in my deck. Problem is, that's just a game of Pokemon, right? It's only a couple of minutes. You can reset it. Problem is, you can't just reset a product launch and everything's good. So AMD's really got a tough time here fighting a lot of that sort of augmented marketing effect that they created themselves. And it's really sad. So we got here another $5 dono as well. I had to get a 990 FX board because my 970 board caught fire. Do you recommend X299? X299 is actually a very good platform. The problem is getting an X299 motherboard is really hard for a good price. I don't recommend going out and paying, you know, hundreds and hundreds of dollars for an X299 because you're better off just getting a say for instance a B660 and a say a 13600K. So that would be a much better option than X299. But X299, if you can get them really cheap, I have come into like one in the last 2 years for a decent price, and I'm looking for hardware quite a bit. So very hard to pick up good deals on X299. So that would be something to look out for. Then we got another $5 dono here. Sorry guys, I'll quickly get over the donations. I don't want to miss your questions here, but bought a Mobo for my kid with subpar audio codec. She is a music, oh man, that word, I haven't said that in a long time. I'm going to butcher it. Connoisseur, is it? Look, I'm going to get roasted for this. Okay, so basically she's a music, aspiring music pro maybe. How do you choose a great bang for buck sound card equals or better than ALC 1220? I mean, how do you choose a great bang for buck sound card? There's actually the Asus one. There's the Asus one. I think it's called the DG. There's the Asus DGX. And that's actually a really good sound card. That'll get you going. It's not garbage. It'll do the job. And if you've got an older PC, you can get the Zonar DG PCI versions, and they're extremely good value as well. Actually, because we got eBay up, I think we got the eBay sales up. We're just sort of slipping in a bit of a future news article there. Like, I'm giving you guys a little bit of a taste of what's to come. But let's have a look at what Zonar DGXs sell for. Zonar DGX. This would be the one that I knew. Yeah, 15 bucks, 25 bucks. That'll be a great little card if you're on a value budget, just to get you going. So that's what they sell for. Easy street. So good card pack with good hardware. So got here Big Kev, Aussie dollar donation. Thank you, brother, for the donation. And also Peter Nikitas just got a 6800 XT, $450. No fanboy here. Previous gen cards are the real value. Problem with the games is the FPS hunger. 100 to 144 is more than fine. Yes, I agree. For me, 120 is where it's at. I don't play competitively enough. Keep in mind, I do understand the appeal of 240. I do understand that appeal. There's a huge appeal for it. And the reason being is, I'll just, there's a guy called, okay, so I was playing actually, sorry, what happened to my autofocus? Wow, okay. Camera, come back online. Uh-oh. What happened here? We got a bit of a, did I put it on, hold on. I just noticed that. Sorry if it's been like, okay, track my eyes camera. Okay, I think it's locked on now. So I do understand. This is why, like, even though I've got my opinions, I always understand what the 240 hertz is about. Okay, so I was playing yesterday with Rocket Jump Ninja, and he had a friend who's like one of the best Apex players in Australia, Apex Legends players. Now this guy would need 240 hertz. He was just that good. I'm watching him play these different heroes, and he's playing one hero on Apex Legends called Pathfinder. Now he's dropping these zip lines and he's jumping up and down on the zip lines, while in between the jumps, he's firing off his SMG. And I'm just like, wow, this guy is just on another level, like extremely talented at this game. And he's literally like, by the time like he runs off, he'll just kill the whole team. And by the time I catch up, I can't even like fire anything because the teams are all gone. So I'm like, okay, like by the time I even run there, this guy's already wiped all the squads. So like I was playing with these guys and I'm like, wow, I understand why some people need their 240 hertz. Whoop, sorry, I got this on a box, so the box didn't do its job. So 144 hertz is going to be for most people, but I do understand why the 240 hertz factor exists. So I'm not going to rip on it, but there are some people when I like yesterday was a classic example of someone who can use 240 hertz. He was actually that good. So, but the thing is, you're going to know, and I asked him, we were just chatting while we're on the game, right? This was the thing, I was chatting to him. I'm like, dude, can you play good at 120 hertz or even 60 hertz? And he said, yeah, like he can play incredibly good at lower refresh rates. So if you are, I think the word for it is cracked. If you are cracked at Apex Legends, or say for instance, you're a pro Call of Duty player, you're going to know that you're really good, right? You're going to be just topping these lobbies on 120 hertz. You're going to be topping the charts, right? For me, I don't top the charts, okay? Like I jump into a game of Apex, probably got a KDR, I think it's 1.09. Like I'm not that great, I'm not that bad, but I don't need 240 hertz. If I get 240 hertz, I'll go from 1.09 to maybe 1.1 KDR. So it's just a waste of money. And I just enjoy, I enjoy the 136 hertz experience that I got now. But bottom line is, if you are really good, you're going to be topping those charts. You're going to have like 2.5 KDR, and then you might go to 2.6 or whatever it is. So 240 hertz can help you. But for most people, for like 99.9% of people, you are not going to need 240 hertz. So I just think the amount of people that go out, I said this in chat. I know people, I might be making you want this 240 hertz stuff, but now I'm going to be the devil's advocate, and I'm going to make you not want the 240 hertz. So if you're like me and you're like just maybe above average, you don't need your 240 hertz. So yeah, 144 hertz is going to be great. You're still going to be able to get those good plays off and whatnot. So there's the sound card done. Now we'll get back to this NVIDIA. Sorry, we just touched on this market with the NVIDIA before we went sidetracked with the chat here. Back to the market share here. Really concerning numbers coming out from mainly AMD, because their market share dropped. And as we said before, when you release these products that are so bad, like the RX 6500 XT, the RX 6400, they damage your whole stack. And that's what I think the damage has been done there. Now, the smart people are going to go out and buy an RX 6600. They're going to go out and buy an RX 6800 XT. But AMD needs that more mainstream market share. They need people to be saying, hey, go buy an AMD graphics card. Doesn't matter which one you get, you're going to get a solid experience. Now, if we look at NVIDIA, right? If we just take the other side of the fence and look at what they've done. RTX 3050. Yes, it's overpriced, especially at MSRP. Take the RTX 3060, 3060 Ti, 3070, 3080, whatever GPU through the whole stack. If someone buys that card, they're not going to have a bad experience. As opposed to an RX 6400, especially in Apex Legends, for example, you can have a bad experience. So you've got NVIDIA's whole product stack is not missing a beat. There's no problems. So that's what AMD really had to think about that before they released the RX 6500 XT and the RX 6600. And that's where I'm going to actually put my guess as to why these sales are so bad. That's where that's where my brain goes. That's what I'm thinking is happening here. So if you guys have a different opinion, let me know in chat as to why you think AMD's losing out market share here to NVIDIA this time around. Because again, the RX 6600, if you guys have been watching Tech City, one of my favorite GPUs. It's such a good GPU. It's so meta. It's so good value. It's just amazing. But if we look at the sales, here we go back now. We'll talk about Intel quickly as well, because this will wrap into the next segue into the next topic, but we'll get onto the sale numbers first. So this was essentially the sales year over year collapsed 42% by discrete GPU sales. That's absolutely insane, because when you decrease 42%, you're nearly halving your sales. That's actually, GPU sales are basically nearly halved, even though it only looks like 42%. When you're going down in that number, you have to then go up double the amount to catch up. So this is why it's such a dangerous thing when you see 42% year over year. It means basically GPU sales have nearly halved. And now, of course, a lot of this will have to do with, coming out of COVID, people want a holiday again. But at the same time, I think a lot of people bought gaming PCs that otherwise wouldn't have bought gaming PCs during COVID. So now we're coming out of it, they have no need to buy a gaming PC because they already have a gaming PC. So this was just an absolute roller coaster ride in terms of supply and demand. And now that they made all this extra supply, especially if you look at TSMC, I think they're going to have a problem coming back to the other side of the fence now and trying to bring things back in line. And this is what all these government policies with printed money, this is what it contributes to. It contributes to a market that isn't acting naturally off the just natural market forces. So really not surprised to see this kind of news coming out. But at the same time, it's actually, this is where it gets into the good part. If you're a PC enthusiast, a tech enthusiast, means the prices are going to get better, because a lot of these companies like AMD, Intel, and Nvidia didn't forecast massive slumps in demand. They thought this demand was just going to keep on going. Everything was just going to be absolutely fine for the next few years. Growth was the name of the game, and they were wanting to accommodate for it. The problem is they didn't think of this massive slump, and so we have this massive oversupply of GPUs, and now you're going to see prices, and you have been seeing prices come down a lot, especially when it comes to these GPU prices. They've come down an absolute, just a massive amount. So if we looked at what I've been picking up, and now even locally, there's just good deals. It's back to 2016, 2017. I'd say the GPU market's getting back there, where you could go down the store, buy a GPU at it's close to its MSRP price, but also you could go on the used market and you can just go find a good deal. It's readily available. So that's what we're getting back to. And so if the good news is for PC enthusiasts, all those bad times, if you save your bucks during those bad times, it's going to catch up to you. So also, sorry, we got quickly missed some donos here. Vintage hardware review, thanks for the NZ $5. Sorry, Brian, was trolling. I have a 5900X, but hey, you could buy a chicken pizza. Actually had a pulled pork pizza last night. Pulled pork pizza is actually pretty good. If you haven't tried one, try and get on a pulled pork pizza. And then we'll be forever. Thank you for the behind the scenes supporter subscription there. Thank you very much. And also, let's have a look now with the Intel. So now we're going to go onto the Intel side of the fence here, where Intel's market share went from basically 0% to 4%. And this is actually really, like, people might be looking at this as bad, But this is actually pretty impressive. I mean, Intel took 4% of the discrete GPU market in just 1 quarter. Actually pretty insane, which I would say a lot of this would be coming through with partners. So like Dell and HP and stuff like that starting to add in ARC cards naturally on gaming PCs and then sell them through naturally. So, but still, to get 4% of the discrete market is actually really impressive. I mean, if we're looking at 4% versus AMD's 10%, wow. I mean, if Intel actually release a full lineup that competes on every level, they might just be able to beat AMD if at this current trajectory. But of course, they have to really hit hard in terms of value for money. Intel have a lot of their own issues to iron out. Even me using the Intel iGPU right now during this stream to bring up these 2 monitors that I'm using for you guys, because it doesn't scale properly, it recognizes as a TV, it essentially overshoots the image. And I actually, last time I scaled it down resolution just to cut the frame into the TV, but then it reset it. And I'm like, man, I don't have time to do this crap again. So Intel drivers, they have their own issues. AMD drivers, they still need a bit of polishing. And look, if I plug the Nvidia thing in, it recognizes it's a LG TV right away and adjusts the screen size accordingly. So it's those little fine touches that driver teams really have to perfect, because a minute saved is a minute made. So yeah, there's that one. But Intel coming in with 4%. That's actually pretty impressive. But Intel, on the other side of the fence, Intel have decided to shelve Raja Koduri. He's out of the GPU unit now. He's back to chief architect position. Now, sometimes companies, they may have contracts where they can't just give Raja the can. Now, I'm just going to speculate here. Maybe he might be on the way to getting the can. But instead, they're doing what I think Apple did with Steve Jobs when they wanted to can him. They essentially move him to a division, give him no budget, make him do nothing essentially. He's just sitting there, writing out his contract, and then they just say, hey mate, contract's up, you're not getting a renewal. But yeah, so anyway, he's out of the AXG or the graphics division, and it's he's moving to an Intel chief architect. So this is, according to Tweaktown, this is a sign that the GPU division of Intel is in serious trouble. Now, a lot of people have been calling Intel and saying they've been in serious trouble. I would say if they're in a lot of serious trouble, it's actually because of the market itself. And I think they're in this big trouble loop right now because they didn't forecast. I think none of these guys forecasted the stagflationary environment that we were going to enter. And this is what's happening, right? We got inflation high. The economy's just not growing. You got 7% inflation in the US. In Australia, you've got over 7% now. I think we're getting close to 8% inflation. UK, you've got really high inflation over there. Even Japan has an inflation problem right now. Japan, of all countries, that's had no inflation for decades. So inflation's the new word in 2022. And they didn't predict this stagflationary environment. Essentially, stagflation is when you've got high inflation, but little to no economic growth, high unemployment, unemployment's on the way up. These are the conditions that are coming in, and basically it's going to be a really crap economy. So I think Intel, a lot of Intel's woes are coming from the actual broad market itself, rather than them releasing a product that they thought would be in hot demand, but it wasn't. It just, like, literally, they couldn't have, like, Intel, honestly, they couldn't have timed things worse in the GPU market. They needed to release their graphics cards over a year ago, like a long time ago. They needed to get those ARC A770s out when everyone was complaining about not being able to get a mid-range graphics card at a good price because all the crypto miners were buying them up. That's when they needed to hit hard, but they just slept. Like, I don't know if they pulled another Sandy Bridge where they just slept on things and they didn't do anything. And then they thought, hey, maybe, guys, there's no rush here. Things are going to be great for a while. And it just wasn't. So there it was with Intel. Raja Koduri, as a consequence, looks like his dreams of making Intel the top dog in the GPU division, that unfortunately isn't going to come to fruition. So there it is there. And he's also apparently having surgery or something right now. So he's having it, according to Tweakdown, he might be having an ice cream in India. So that's what they're speculating on. Lots of speculation. And I got accused in the last live stream. I got accused of doing too much speculation. But hey, at least if we speculate, and we've got a good track record and we're right about speculation, people aren't A, they're not surprised. B, they can make choices now that help them take advantage of whether it's going to be a poor outcome in the economic conditions or it's going to be a good outcome. So there it is. Anyway, let's move on now to the next piece of news. Top selling CPUs. Again, I'm waiting for these Ryzen 7000 series CPUs to compete. But it looks like nobody wants a Ryzen 7000 series CPU. They're almost, in whatever metric I look at here, I'm looking at Amazon's top selling CPU list. The APU is charging at top here at $186. Phenomenal value for money. Ryzen 7 5700X. I've actually got a video coming on this CPU. I bought this thing. I absolutely like where it's at. I think it's going to be incredible value for money. And then we've got the 5900X. And so you can look at it here. Top 5 CPUs are all AMD in America. That's really good news, except they're all 5000 series CPUs and no 7000 series CPUs, followed by 12th gen, 13th gen, 12th gen, again 13th gen, and then the 5500 coming in under $100. I'm not sure why this isn't in the top 10. I think maybe in America, people really look at that Gamers Nexus review and think, hey, this guy didn't like it. Even at under $100, I love this thing at under $100. I think it's an absolute steal for this price, especially if you're putting in any CPU if you're putting the CPU in with any GPU, say for instance an RTX 3060, RTX 3050, RX 6600. This thing's going to do absolutely great. So one of my favorite CPUs, I guess that's why it's getting cheaper. So it's becoming even better value for money as it goes. 13th gen. You do not see a 7000 series CPU until you get to number 17, which really, like, that's crazy. And then if we move over to Japan, we got, again, the same situation is unfolding here. It's just a 5th Ryzen 5000 series and a 12th and 13th gen MASH. And then we've got here number 9, so it made it into the top 10, the 7950X. But still, nowhere near the top. And then we had the 5800X 3D falling off, but I think that was because it was like number 1 for a while. So the numbers do fluctuate there. So wow, what a crazy time for CPUs. Price drops everywhere, ladies and gentlemen. Price drops everywhere. So what do we got here? We got here in chat as well. Move over to a bit of chat. And do you think the stock market will recover in 2023? It depends. What do you mean by recover? Do I think we're going to have higher inflation? Absolutely. And how higher inflation is going to affect stocks this time, I have no idea. I mean, if you look at like the 70s, right, you had the great stagflation of the 1970s, and the stock market actually became devalued because inflation was higher than the rate the stock market was going up at. This time around, I think a similar effect is going to happen with stocks. I don't think they're going to recover that well. I think precious metals are actually going to outperform. And the reason I think that is because you've got a lot of countries out there that are experiencing much higher inflation than 7%. Like much higher inflation than 7%. So when you look at these countries, say for instance, I mean, someone mentioned Venezuela. Hey, I'm from Venezuela, we've got hyperinflation. What do you think people in Venezuela are doing as soon as they get money? They're just going out and buying some silver or something that retains its value. They're going out and buying and just contributing to this problem. They don't want this money. It's worthless to them. And it's a spiral that you have to not let get out of control. And that's why inflation just feeds itself. It's like that snowball that just keeps growing bigger and bigger. The only way to stop it is to essentially get the slope under control. Make sure the snowball's not running down a hill, because it's only going to gain momentum. So you got to slope that hill off and even slope it upwards, so the snowball starts losing pace and starts losing momentum. And that slope is obviously interest rates. You got to stop money being borrowed and being created, and then especially by the government as well. So these are the things that dictate what will happen. And at the moment, I think metals will outperform the stock market, because a lot of countries, just besides US, United States, America, UK, and stuff like that, I think a lot of these countries are going to have much higher inflation, and they're just going to turn to precious metals. I think in the other day I was reading about Egypt, and gold's the highest it's ever been in Egypt, and that's because the Egyptian currency is starting to crash. So there it is. Away we go. There's Buzz Lightyear, he'll tell you. Will the stock market recover? No, I don't think it will. So yeah, but anyway, we reached already 10% inflation in Germany. Yeah, so would it be possible to ask what mic you're using and would you recommend it? In the market for one around 200 USD. So the mic that we got right here, in Japan, I bought the AT2035 and I used that with a budget mixer. Right here, we've got the AT4040. And this one I bought this on the used market. It was about 150 US dollars. So I got this, it was like pristine used condition. This was like, I think I got this for an absolute bargain. But I got this with an Evo Audient audio interface. So I was just trying something different. And when you guys are asking what audio we're using and what it's like, that actually puts a smile on my face because I know it's pretty good. What's coming out of this mic into your ears is it's a good thing. So yeah, I'm happy to share that with you guys too. So in Japan, 150 yen, no, 150 USD. So it was like Neiman Gorsan. So AT4040. Sorry, yeah, Yusuf, correct me. Isn't it the BP40? The BP40 is the dynamic. This isn't the BP40. It's the AT40. AT4040. I think that's the model number of this one. So, trying to troll me live stream. Stop trying to troll me on the live stream. So, not appreciated. Don't like being trolled. But on other news, okay, so let's get back to some hot news back here. Let's go back to the DXY. This is on the way down. The United States dollar is dropping off a bit. So what this means is if you're in I think the DXY is dropping off against Asian currencies. So the reason this is because the Asian inflation is a lot lower than the Western inflation. So Australian inflation, UK, Germany, EU, US, the inflation numbers there are going to be higher in general than a lot of the Asian countries. So I think the DXY has gotten weaker versus the Asian currencies. So like the yen, the Korean won, things like the Singapore dollar. The reason this is though is because again, lower inflation, those dollars are retaining their value or their money, their country, those Asian countries and their money, retaining their value a lot better than the USD. So the good news here is if you're in Japan or if you're in some other countries, GPU prices will get cheaper naturally because of this. So that's actually a really good sign. DXY weakening means that you can get some better bargains on your stuff. So if you haven't had the good news already, you got the good news. But now if you're in Egypt, yeah, unfortunately, your prices of your GPUs will be going up again. And unfortunately, if you're in the EU, I would say, I mean, the EU, I think the euro got a little bit stronger. Anyway, another hot topic before we move on to chat, and I answer all those pressing questions like the meaning of life and stuff like that you guys ask me about in chat all the time. Brian, what is the meaning of life? We'll answer that after we get onto this next topic, because what we got here is actually something that a retailer, I spoke to a retailer yesterday, and he was telling me actually quite a few things on how he was getting quite a few Ryzen CPUs back, mainly the 3600s, so the Ryzen 5 3600s and the 5600Xs. So when I pressed him on the models in particular, he told me that there was actually quite a few Ryzen 5 5600Xs and 3600s coming back, dead CPUs. And actually one of the viewers here sent me over, Kevin, he sent me over a faulty Ryzen 5 3600 he came into. And so, and this is like this is actually a concern. So a lot of these things that are coming out now with these CPUs, right? If you got a faulty CPU and it's out of 3 years, especially with the Ryzen 5 3600, a lot of those will be coming off their 3-year warranty. So you won't be able to get them replaced for free. As opposed to the 5600X, that's actually still under warranty. But he said, like, I asked him about faulty parts. So I'm like, what's the most faulty, say for instance, Nvidia GPU? And he said, well, we've still got RTX 2080 Ti's coming back. So RTX 2080 Ti's actually had a pretty high failure rate. They also said then Ryzen 5 3600s and 5600Xs. And so these CPUs are just dead. And basically what happens is one of the cores actually just dies. a lot of the times. And so then the CPU, it just won't boot it up. And the way you can get around this, technically, there is a workaround. And because he asked for my advice, he's like, okay, is there anything I can do to help these customers out, especially if they're out of pocket? And I said, well, if you've got a 3600 at your store, you can go into the computer, disable some cores until the CPU boots up with the other one. So it is a tedious process, but you can get it working again. And so you can get it working again. It's just you've got to have a working one to use the settings and disable the cores and then replace it with the same CPU. And then it can be working again. Whoa, we got a huge donation here from Will Be Me Forever, Ichimaen. That would be actually, how much would that be in USD? Thanks so much for the donation. We didn't get a question here, brother. We actually didn't get a question. Feel free to ask a question live for that big donation as well. That's actually a huge one. And we got here 76 United States dollars. Thanks, brother. You know, Dadman is going to be very happy when I buy him some beer with that. Oh, that's why the autofocus is going off. Sorry, it's looking at the eyes in the posters back there, and it's like, it's looking at the eyes in the poster, and it's locking onto those eyes in the poster. I just figured that out. Okay, so the eye autofocus is working. It's just working too well that it's picking up eyes in the poster. So that was actually, yeah, so 76 dollars there, US. Thanks for the huge donation. You got to ask some questions as well. So there it is there, actually my screen. This is, again, I blame Intel's graphics division for them not optimizing. So there it is there, right there, 76 US dollars. Thank you so much for that. I'm going to put that to work with a case of beer. Now, speaking of what you can do, if you've even got 15 US dollars, you can get yourself a Windows 10. Use that coupon code BFTYC, what we're doing here right now. Get yourself a $15 OEM key, global lifetime. So it works anywhere in the world. Activate Windows. You can activate Windows 10 or 11 with these. Works for Windows 11 absolutely fine. Cheapest keys in the game. And you guys keep coming back for them. And they're also an awesome sponsor here at Tech City. They're one of the reasons I keep making videos. Because yeah, they're just such an easy, good sponsor to work with. And I've never had a problem with their keys. And also all the people that have used them have never had a problem with their keys either. But speaking of even cheaper, I've got to give a shout out here on the live stream to Epic Games, because this is absolutely insane. If you guys have been logging on to Epic lately, they've got these free games, and they've been doing this for actually years now. I remember I used to log into Epic and grab some free games. I actually got Shadow of the Tomb Raider, the actual official edition to Benchmark, on Epic Games. I never bought it on Steam. So that was actually a big plus from Epic Games. They had that ages ago, Shadow of the Tomb Raider. You get the full version for free. So so little something for your next bargain hunt. Okay, so Will asked with the donation, he's like, just here's the next parts hunt, have some free stuff. But I'll give the donations to Dadman, because the parts hunts, I've got to, like, it has to be, like, one thing about doing the parts hunts has to be authentic, has to be the real deal. I've always got to get those deals. I can't be like, you know, subscriber donated me 76 bucks, so I can take that off the $150 price tag. All right, guys, I got an RX 6700 XT for $76. Like, that's kind of clickbait. I wouldn't do that to you guys. It's always got to be like, no, it's got to be just authentic, real, as if I was one of the boys doing the parts hunts. And that's how I always do things at YouTube. I'm always doing that thing as just the one of the boys, because I just enjoy it. Like, I really love doing it. And you know, when you guys probably see it too, when all this new stuff starts coming in, I'm not as passionate and not as happy. So got to definitely, I mean, the new stuff definitely pays money, and it makes YouTube as well all the worth the while. But the used stuff is where it's at. I love doing it. So thanks for the support with that as well. Thanks for the donations and stuff like that. I really appreciate it, guys. You guys are awesome. So build something useful for Dadman. So yeah, I've got to get Dadman back on the stream. Right now he's gone to Bunnings. And he always goes and does, like, dude, he'll go down to Bunnings. Like, Bunnings is like, if you guys are in Japan, it's like D2 or Kind's Home. Or if you're in America, it's like one of those just big hardware stores. And he goes to these places. He actually might if he's back, I might see, I'll ask him if he can come on, but he goes down to Bunnings and just looks for stuff all the time and just goes like window shopping at Bunnings. So he goes to the hardware store and just goes window shopping. Absolutely loves it too. So you can't blame him as well. But I think he drops down the bottle-o as well and gets the grog as well too. So Dadman, that's what he does. But I'll get him on. I'll make sure if he doesn't come on this live stream today, I'll make sure he comes on the next live stream. And you guys can ask anything you want to Dadman, anything. And he has been keeping well, don't worry. So yeah, back onto Epic Games, guys. Basically, this platform will have free games, and they're actually really good. I got Death Stranding the other day. Death Stranding was free on Epic Games, and that was usually like a $30 game. So that's free. You can just download it and enable it. I actually tweeted this out on the Twitter, and now they've got Dishonored as well, Definitive Edition. So if you want to play Dishonored, you just basically log into Epic Games, claim the game, and then it's on your list. You don't even have to download it. So if you've got crappy internet and you're on holiday and you're on a laptop, you can get this for free. So it's actually really good. Like Epic make PC gaming. Like I love Steam. Steam is my favorite platform, don't get me wrong. But I really like Epic and how they do this, because if you're just basically on a real strict budget and you want to try some different games, that you can just get them for free. And they're actually really good AAA titles. So yeah, pretty much the same. Someone in chat's like, all my Epic game library are free games. Same with me, man. I just log in and grab the free games because they're actually really good games. So I love that. Hey, Rajakta Patel. Hello, my dear. Thanks. Excellent speak. For computer, but you no speak for India. Why? Excellent computer. You a good ma, but no mustache. Make for me, please, beauty. Okay, so you want me to have a mustache. If you guys want me, like, thanks for the donation, brother. But if you want me to have a mustache, one thing is, I've always asked, this is like, no offense, Mr. Patel, but I always ask the women, what do you think looks best on me? And they say, don't grow a beard, don't grow a mustache. And they just tell me to look clean cut. Every woman I've been with has always told me I look better clean cut than I do with a beard or a mustache. And, you know, that's what I love, you know, doing my thing with women, man. So it's like, I'm always going to listen to the woman. So sorry, brother, but if it's beautiful for you, if I have a mustache, it ain't convenient for me. So, but in terms of India, in terms of speaking for the Indian PC market, I can take a look at that. Is there like a website you guys use to gauge prices? Say for instance, in Australia, you can go on eBay and you can just gauge prices so quickly, right? So we can go on ebay.com.au, right? So we're in Australian dollars now, and we can just have a look. Like RTX 3060 Ti, one of my favorite GPUs right now. $399 Aussie dollars. That's buy it now. That's actually really good. So whoever's selling this has a pretty good deal on their hands. Low hash rate as well, so it wouldn't have been abused, or not too much. $399 AUD to USD, just to give you guys a sum. 270 bucks, buy it now. Like, that's actually really good. If I'm gauging the GPU market, even off eBay prices, I can get a really good deal. Now, I can go now with that information, I can run around. Sorry, I'm looking for this. Like, again, Intel, I'm blaming Intel for this one. This is Intel's fault because I actually can't see my tabs on the top of my thing. Here we go, we found it. $399. I can now run around the local market and then go to people, hey, this is on eBay for $399. Would you take $350? And then I can get an RTX 3060 Ti when I do the next parts hunt for around $238 US. So that's what that's how you do it, right? So where's the website? So Mr. Patel, you have to tell us, where's the website where you gauge Indian prices? And so then I can take a look at that, and I can help you out there and do a video for India. So actually, because yeah, I know there's actually a lot of viewers and subscribers from India. So if I can take a look there and give you guys my insights on the Indian market, I would more than love to do that for you guys. That can definitely make that happen. But ultimately, one day, I just want to go to India and go parts hunting there. Even though I think it would be absolutely crazy. I just think it'd be a different experience from what I'd expect from, say, for instance, I mean, I would call me weird, but would it be similar to, say, Vietnam? Vietnam was crazy. I was jumping on mopeds, and I had some girl driving me around on a moped, taking me parts hunting. It was absolutely insane. Vietnam was just unlike any other place I've been for parts hunting. I met some chick at a clothes shop because my suitcase got sent back to Australia when I was in Vietnam. My suitcase got sent back to Australia, so I had no clothes, and I'm in this country that's hot. I had to shower, so I went into a store, bought some clothes, and the chick there was like, "Oh, do you need a guide?" And I'm like, "All right, like, hey, if it's gonna be a chick on a moped, why not?" So I gave her I think she's like wanted $5 a day. I gave her $10 a day because like I felt sorry. Like, wow, you're driving me around Vietnam for $10 a day. That's actually a bargain for me. So everyone's happy, win, win, win. Anyway. And bought her food and all that stuff. But yeah, she's taking me parts hunting. And did she love me long time? I don't know, man. Like, what happened in Vietnam stayed in Vietnam. So it wasn't a long time. It was like 2 weeks. So, like a week. I don't even think it was 2 weeks. It was like a week. Anyway, I'm driving around, taking me around Vietnam on a moped, doing a parts hunt. It was absolutely crazy. So that was the craziest. So I just imagine India would be similar like that, except maybe I'd have Mr. Patel with the mustache driving me around on, say, would it be like I don't know, would it be a dirt bike? Well, what would you do, Mr. Patel? Give me some answers. And then we're getting some of of course, we're going into those details as well. You guys in chat, like, did she take off her clothes? Like, we're not going there. I'm not answering that on live stream. We got here Preston Morton with a $20 donation. Thank you so much, brother. Building a new rig with Ryzen 4 X3D. I've never heard of a Ryzen 4 X3D. I mean, Ryzen 5. 5800 X3D is great. Recommended a GPU to drive an ultra-wide Samsung G monitor at 165 Hz. I'm retiring my old RX 580. I occasionally want to play AAA games, but not a serious gamer. Max 1,000 budget, not into ray tracing. Well, then you're already in a good position to get an AMD card. No ray tracing, AMD 6000 series. They offer the best raster performance. 165 Hz, man, $1,000 budget. You're easily looking at an RX 6800 XT in my opinion. Pocket the rest of the money, and we'll even pull it up right here. Just pocket the rest of the money and wait for the next GPU upgrade. So we'll go back to our eBay tab here. This is in Australia as well, right? This is in Australia. How much can we get an RX 6800 XT for? Look at this, 600. No one's bidded on that yet. So that would be dirt cheap. These GPUs are just going really cheap here. Okay, all the other ones for some reason. There's not many for sale, but locally, let's have a look on eBay. Just the regular eBay. RX 6800 XT. Let's have a go. So, I mean, buy it now. It's $589, but you'll probably be able to get it cheaper. There's one going for $480. That's on bid. 3 days left. Best offer. Okay. There's one for $5. It's a new listing. Look at this. Brand new. That's just listed. He's got a 6800 XT. You can undervolt these extremely well too. Even if they are the Founders Edition, you can undervolt them, change the fan speeds. I would offer this guy $500. The 530, like, I think he just wants to clear $500. That's why he's got the make offer there. Now, do be careful. He's got no feedback. He's got one feedback. That's interesting. When's it from? Okay, he's got no feedback. But he made his account in 2018. So this could be, like, in my eyes, he made his account in 2018. Could be legit. So I don't think anyone wants to buy off him because he's like got no feedback. But I would drop in an offer of 500 and just talk to him and say, hey, does this that's a good bargain. $500, eBay. Locally, try and get one, like the viewers were saying, $450. Try and get a 6800 XT for $450 locally. So that's your prices. That would be your best bet for your Samsung, man. That would be absolutely pop-a-loppin', crack-a-lackin'. So that would be the way to go. Absolutely, right there. So that's how you do it, man. And you're absolutely on fire there with that. There's no issues. There's no yeah, you just smooth gaming. But that RX 580 is definitely going to be giving you a bit of a hard time there. So there it is. Mr. Patel. Mr. Patel, man. Love the donation, brother. Mr. Patel's left an imprint. He's speaking for India, brothers. And actually, I've been wanting to thank the Indian audience for a while. Like, you guys are awesome, actually, because I notice the engagement is like you're always asking these questions, and sometimes I get really good ideas, especially with the Dell motherboards. A lot of you guys, actually, it was an Indian subscriber that made the Dell motherboards happen. They're like, Brian, how do I get this working? I've tried this, and I can't get it working. I'm like, all right, man, I'm going to tackle these Dell motherboards and just get around it and do a video and turn it into a gaming PC. So yeah, keep up the questions, keep up everything, because I absolutely love it. And with that said, we're going to move over to free chat now. I'm all yours, guys. Ask me anything. And also, we got Buzz Lightyear as well. So Buzz is going to be coming in. This is the $1.50 cup. There's the eye autofocus. Gets right on Buzz. Ask me some questions, please, on the Tech Yes City live stream. Oh wait, I can't do a Buzz Lightyear voice. I can do some other voices, all right, but not Buzz Lightyear. There's no signs of intelligent life anywhere. Yeah. There isn't a Tech Yes City live stream, Buzz. There's some real good signs of intelligent life right here if you want to get into it. So let's go in. So what's the questions going on now, guys? I will address and answer as best as I can. Best ray tracing GPU for under 1,000 Aussie dollars. RTX 3090. You can actually get them for under $1,000, believe it or not. I think you can get the RTX 3090s for under $1,000. I have seen someone the other day was asking me, Brian, I can buy them. It might be a lot, like, yeah, so RTX 3090 in Australia. You should be able to get one close to under $1,000, believe it or not. I'm just trying to pull up a listing off camera here, just because I don't want to get anyone's names or anything, because then I can get taken down from YouTube for that. Like, you know, you're doxing someone. It's like, no, I'm not. I'm not. I really am not. I'm just trying to pull up a deal. So I'm just seeing if there's any RTX 3090s locally here. So let's have a looky. So RTX 3090s would be like, here's on my Facebook. There's someone selling, this is locally, there's someone selling one for 1,500. They want that each. But like, I have, someone was showing me deals for under 1,000 Aussie. So if you can get an RTX 3090 for $1,000 Aussie, you're laughing, which would be around $700 US. And that's my price threshold for that card. So there you go. So hopefully that answers that question. Let's move on now to the next question here. And best office PC plus GPU combo for $100 for an auto-imposed challenge. Like, that's a auto-imposed challenge. Do you want to use that in a car? Like, I'm just trying to figure out, like, the best combo for an office PC plus a GPU combo would just be like your small form factor, like try and get an i7 2600 maybe, like 16 gigabytes of RAM. I'll just see what we get. And yeah, computers last 3. So there's your office PC there. You just go check out what this guy's selling. Maybe he's got like an i7 in that stack. There's an i7 there with 8 gigabytes of memory. I mean, that's $90. But you probably offer these people less and put together your own little PC. So you've got a pink i7 gamer if you want a pink i7 gamer as well. But that's way above the $100 budget. So I'd say go with like a Sandy Bridge or something like that. That'd be your best bet. That's getting really cheap. So that would be your best bet for doing that. Hey, Brian, do you have any free time in January 2023? I was hoping we could chat in Discord. Yes, Josh, I will get, 2023, I'm going to get you sorted, man. Actually, I'll do it like tomorrow. I'm going to make sure I'm taking the little boy to 2 lots of fireworks tonight, and then I'll sort you out, man. Tomorrow's the day I'm going to sort it all out for you. Sorry about Gigabyte, man. I've messaged Gigabyte numerous times trying to get you that Mobo, bro, that you won last year, which is actually really sad. So I'm going to fix it all up for you, dude, and handle that. And that sort of put me off doing giveaways. Like, it's actually really sad. I'll probably just give away like SCD keys or something like that. Just do some giveaways for keys. Do you expect a release date for 7000 X3D during CES? I think they'll announce, I think they will announce X3D. They have to now. They've got to create some buzz for this platform. I mean, they've got a lot of motherboard manufacturers. Here's the thing about X3D, like the 7000 series. This is what people don't like. This is a huge thing. A lot of motherboard companies, Asus, ASRock, MSI, Gigabyte, they've invested a lot of money in these platforms, right? Getting these motherboards and making them up to spec is not an easy task. They've invested a lot of money. And so when their sales are doing terrible, just like X299, that's why, like if you look at X399 as well from AMD, Threadripper, if you look at X299, the reason you're not seeing HEDT platforms come out is because the motherboard manufacturers don't want to do it, period. They're sick of losing money and they're sick of returns, bent pins, all this crap that goes on. It's the motherboard manufacturers that are pissed off. And this is what no one talks about with the motherboard manufacturers. And so they're the ones actually saying no to this X299, no to this stuff, because they're not making any money. They're doing it, they're doing all the hard work. AMD, they want to sell people Threadripper CPUs. Intel want to sell people 18 core XEs because they make an absolute killing. But if the motherboard manufacturers aren't making a good cut, they're not going to do it. So this time around, you saw with Ryzen 7000 series, the chips were actually pretty reasonably priced. Even now, the 7950X is extremely well priced for what it is, but it's still not selling that well. Look at the charts. We showed up the charts before. Not selling that well. And this is actually really sad because it's not selling that well. And even though the CPUs are priced well, because the motherboard manufacturers have to make a cut. If we go back to this slide right here, the motherboard manufacturers have to make a cut. So there it is right there. So I don't think, like, I think you're going to see X3D come out as soon as possible. I think it will be announced at CES. I think it has to actually hit hard and start selling motherboards for the board partners. So that's what I think. I'll be surprised if AMD does not at least announce X3D at CES. I'll be very surprised, put it that way. But I think they'll announce it. I think they will want to make actually quite a few versions, not just the 5800 X3D. But they need some firepower here, man, to sell those motherboards. So Mr. Patel, he says a $5 donation. Thank you very much, brother. Yes, India #1 for computers, but more law make race for India. He no liken for my uncle Raja. Please no more speak him. He forget Martin Luther King dream. Moore's Law is dead, the YouTuber. He doesn't like Raja? Oh, because Raja Koduri's of Indian descent, right? Yeah, so you guys would love him over there. Yeah, you know, he's hitting hard. He's representing India in the tech scene. And Moore's Law doesn't like him. Like, why wouldn't you, like, I don't understand. Why wouldn't he like the guy? I haven't met Raja Koduri, so I don't know if I would like him or not like him. I've got to meet him. Has Moore's Law is dead? Has he met Mr. Koduri? If he doesn't like him and he hasn't even met him, that's a pretty vain position to take out on that one. I wouldn't do that. That's a weird one, right? Yeah, maybe Mr. Patel's trolling, but I'm loving it. He's hitting hard questions here on the live stream, so I think you guys are enjoying Mr. Patel's questions as well. I mean, I'm enjoying his $5. That's for sure. Thanks for the donation too, brother. For the RX 6600M, what's the best X99 CPU? 5820K. Like, you're going to do really well with the 5820K. You've also got the V3 Xeons as well. Go with the, you can go with like the 10 core. It's an unusual one, but it turbo boosts pretty high. I forgot the exact SKU number of it. I think it's like 2639 V3 or something like that. Weird number, but some of them actually are really good for gaming. So don't be afraid to go X99 and couple with an RX 6600M. It'll actually be very meta. Don't quote me on this, but I think some of those board partners, like the AliExpress board guys, have figured out how to get above 4G decoding to work as well. So you can get not smart access memory, but you can get still benefits of PCIe streaming as well. So for the GPU cache. Sorry, I gotta not get my Aussie accent into the live stream. And mainly that's because people don't understand what I'm saying. What cache? What are you saying? Cache? Cache, sorry. Like, what, we're talking about this military cache here? No. Like, cache, bro. Get it right. So I'm like, in data, SATA, SATA, potato, tomato, potato. No one says potato. So will the RTX 4070 Ti be better than the 3090? I'm considering buying the RTX 3090. It'll be very similar. They will be very similar. I'm predicting the 3090 will edge it out just by a little bit. I'm predicting it'll edge it out just by a little bit. So that's my predictions, which makes the 3090, especially if you get it for a really good price, you can get the best deal. And that's what I mean. This is why I think the 4090 sold well, because it was a new tier of card. The 4080 wasn't giving a whole lot over the 3090, especially if you had a 3090 Ti. And then the 4070 Ti is going to be that card that's like, meh, look at the used market. So, and you're getting 12 gigabytes more VRAM as well, which is going to be absolutely amazing if you're going to reflip that PC in the future. People are going to see, well, what? This is a 3090, it's got more VRAM. Surely it's going to be better. And then they possibly go and look at benchmarks, a possibility, and they see the 3090 is beating the 4070 Ti. They're like going to be like, well, what's the point in even getting a 4070 Ti? So that it's already in a weird spot. Just the closer we get to Judgment Day with the 4070 Ti, I think it's going to have a really tough time. Yeah, potato. That's always the joke that I make, because no one says potato. Anyway, so I'm crying right now. I paid 900 plus tax for MSI Gaming X Trio 3070 Ti, but I've had it since spring of 21. I mean, yeah, if you paid 900 US plus tax, that's extremely expensive for a 3070 Ti, because I got the 3090 in my main rig. That was like $670. So is it worth getting an RX 5500 XT? Yes, it is. That's actually a decent GPU. And I was just about to get one in Tokyo, but the price was like, I needed it like $10 cheaper. I think I was going to get one for around $60 US. I think I was going to get one for $60 US, but it ended up being a little bit worse off. So new music. All right. Someone's saying new music. We'll just change the music over for you. Yeah, okay, so yeah, the background music. Yeah, I've got to find see, the problem with background music, I've got to find something that's good and I don't get hit with copyright strikes. That's the hardest thing about music, because a lot of my older videos, I used a lot of free-to-play stuff, and years later, I get hit with these copyright strikes. Copyright strike. And it's like, man, these people just want to take your ad revenue and make your life miserable when they told you it was free to use. You could use it commercially and whatnot. So that's why I've got to actually make a playlist for background music on maybe Monster Cat or something, or for background music, I will do something about that and give you guys a better background music experience. So that will happen. I can't do it right now on live stream. I'll just completely butcher things up. If the stream's running smoothly right now, it's going to stay running smoothly. So 5800 X3D and the 13600K, both at the same price of Gourmet 381 USD. Which would you grab? That's actually that's a really good question, because I mean, if you look at the sales charts, right, what would the market grab? Let's see the Japanese market. Since I've already got this slide up here for some reason, I can read into the future and read your mind. Yeah, also about no copyright sounds. Sometimes there's a creator on that website that'll go rogue, and then they'll copyright claim their music. I've had that happen once as well. Though the majority of NCS songs I've never had problems with, but there has been a few times, or actually one time that I know of, where one of the songs went rogue and they tried to copyright claim it. So it was actually really annoying. Okay, so the market would get the 13600K in Japan. That's what the market would get. And I'll tell you my answer after we look at the American market. And in America, they would get, they would get the 5800 X3D. So you've got a difference of opinions there. The US citizens would choose the 5800 X3D over the 13600K, and the Japanese citizens would choose the 13600K over the 5800X3D. Now, me personally, I would go with the 13600K because I do more than just gaming. The 13600K was such an impressive CPU, just like the 5800X3D was. Just like the 5800X3D was, but I would have gave the edge to the 13600K. That's for me personally though, because you've got the iGPU and you've got the, you just got more overall max potential power there. Plus the gaming experience is going to be pretty similar. So 13600K would be for me on a budget, even with DDR4. I did a video on it. I was actually really impressed with B660 and DDR4. So even though both, like, you cannot go wrong going with both these CPUs for high-end gaming, but if you ask me which one, I'd give the slight edge for me personally, the 13600K. Though, what would you guys go? Let us know in chat. Would you go with the 5800X3D or would you go with the 13600K? That's actually, it's a pretty good question. It's a pretty good, like, the sales data is showing that whichever country you look at, it's a coin flip. And the market likes both these CPUs because they're both in the top 10. Or at least, yeah, so they're both great CPUs. Anyhow, 13700K as well, very good CPU. That's moving up the charts because it's coming down in price. And yeah, 13th gen in overall has been very good. Same with 5000 series CPUs. So you guys are letting us know in chat. So there we go. 13600K, so it's starting to come out. You guys are saying 13600K. That's what you go with. Okay. Or Kevin Lai would go with the 5800X3D or the 13700K. Look, 5700X is actually, I'm going to talk about this. I got to try that CPU out very soon. But there are actually quite a few CPUs, but it's just which one would you go to, just those two CPUs. So which one would you go for? That would be, yeah, that's the question. I mean, the 5700X, I really like the price of that right now. And it's number one in Japan. And the Ryzen 5 5500, I absolutely love that CPU. I just think it's such a good value CPU. I mean, have people lost the art of the budget? Is that something that's not coming back to PC gaming? But even if it does, even if the art of the budget is not coming back to PC gaming, I'm gonna make sure it stays in PC gaming. The art of the budget is everything. So that's why I'm shocked that the Ryzen 5 5500 isn't more popular than it is. That's it's something. It's just a weird phenomenon. Maybe just people don't know about it that well. So I sold a 9900K the other day for $400 US. Wow, man, you cleaned up. I feel sorry for the guy who bought that. That's on, like, unless they've got like a PC that's like custom water cooled and their 9900K died. That would be the only time someone I could see actually paying that money for one. Where like they're basically forced to use that system because they don't want to go out and change everything. So maybe that was that, like, because yeah, $400 USD for a 9900K is way too much. I'd never pay anywhere near that. So I think that actually the 10, how much is this CPU actually? I'll check on you guys live stream. There's one CPU that I'm very curious about, and that is the 10900F. It didn't get enough attention, but at one stage it was going very cheap. Okay, now it's $400. This is a no-go now. This one used to be like, it came down in Australia to like, I think it was like around $280 US or something like that. It was really cheap at one stage in Australia, but now it's just gone back up in price. So that's a no deal, but I thought maybe that might have had some kind of play there, but yeah. Okay, anyway, guys, if the questions are dropping off, we will close down the live stream very soon. Actually, I've got to change my camera battery as well, because that's while I do that, if you guys have any more questions you want to drop in chat, do make sure you drop them in chat. Also, thanks for all the donations as well. Really appreciate that. You guys are awesome. Thanks for watching the content, but I will change my camera battery. If you've got some last minute questions, make sure you pop them off in chat. If there's those questions you really need answer. I know there's that one person, man, he's always like, after the comments, Brian, you didn't answer my question. Now's your chance, brothers. And I'll make sure I answer it for you. Just got to change my camera battery because it's almost dropped out. So I don't even know if it was on charge. Like, I think it started the stream off with like 50% camera battery. So I do apologize. But yeah, we're going to quickly change this one. We are living on the edge here. All right. We are living on the edge. We're living on the edge with this one's only got 8%. My charger accidentally unplugged the camera battery. So we're gonna have to wind down. We're gonna have to wind down this live stream soon anyway. So best deal on storage, 2 TB and 4 TB NVMe 4 drive. So PCIe Gen 4. Actually, that's a good question. I actually just got in there was a SSD I just got in and I really like it. I've got to do a video on it. Like it's Silicon Power XS70. I don't know if you guys have heard this one, but that's actually a really good question because I'm actually doing a video at the moment on this SSD. It's the XS70, 2 TB, and look at the performance. Like this thing, if you got a 4 TB option as well, if you want huge space, but the 2 TB should be actually pretty inexpensive, $170. And this thing is PCIe Gen 4, and it's got a DDR4 burst bank. It's got a Ryzen controller, and it's got really good TLC on it. So that would be a really top SSD that I've got a video in the works for. So you have to wait for that one. But in terms of like, it's my main SSD in my PC right now, and it's doing a really good job. So that would be, we're just gonna go over the questions. I got a heap of questions when I was getting the question, when I was changing over the camera battery. $250 for mined 3060 Ti, mined but maintained. If it's been maintained really well, it's gonna be a good deal. If that miner has taken care of that graphics card, $250 is a good deal. Make no mistake about that one. Do you think a 12-core Xeon paired with a 3050 is still good for gaming today? Absolutely. If it's a Haswell Xeon, it's going to be absolutely fine, especially with that quad channel memory. Scott Riley asked, do you think that 6700 XT are a good card? Very good card. In fact, let's have a look at what you can pick one up for. So we got the, have to excuse me while I maneuver around a microphone here, but 6700 XT with all the dashes. These cards, if they're going under $300, they're usually a really good deal. In fact, you can see them. If we go, let's see what some bargain hunters on eBay picked them up for. I've heard of people getting these as low as $150 locally. Absolute steal. So $279, there we go. Someone got a bargain there. That's an absolute bargain. $279 for a 6700 XT, 12 gigabytes of VRAM, really relevant card. I love the performance of this thing. It's one of my favorite GPUs. So yeah, is it worth it? Definitely, especially when you pick it up for a really good price. So what we got here is, batteries are the bane of YouTube. Yeah, my one's on off charge as well. So I plugged it on charge as well. I had the charger unfortunately unplugged, so it didn't have a full charge. Do you think Intel will release Battlemage in 2023 and compete with 4070? I think they've got a long way to go. Like, after seeing what they did with ARC, basically with ARC, they're releasing a high-end GPU in the mid-range. Intel really have to draw more performance out of their hardware, and it's not an easy task. So they've got a very hard path ahead of them to match the performance of Nvidia's, even their 4070 Ti, for example. So can they do it? That one's one thing that I just really can't make the prediction on, because it's a very up in the air question of, can they take what they've got with ARC, and are they putting in the R&D, and are they going to reshuffle the team, and are they going to make massive strides on their GPUs? That information would be held very in closed doors in Intel. So that one's up on the fence. Is it a possibility? Absolutely. But do I think it's going to happen after seeing what ARC did with the market, and they promised it would compete with a 3060, and in a lot of titles that missed the mark. The RX 6600 exists. Yeah, I think they got long ways to go. I'm a little bit pessimistic about that one, sorry. So with the ARC GPUs. 8700K, what's the best pair these days for performance? RTX 3060 Ti, RX 6700 XT would be max. RX 6600 is going to be great value, but those two GPUs will be great pairing with an 8700. So especially a K, you can definitely tune the K and make it absolutely pop-a-loppin'. I messed up and bought a 3070 Ti 1300 on January. Oh, pasta sauce. Ouch, man. That's not a good one. Kevin Live, $5. Thanks for the Aussie 5, brother. Brian, Brain. He calls me Brain. Yeah, just forget about the Brian. Just call me Brain, bro. People have called me Brain in the past. I love the name. Love the nickname, Brain. How would you price these specs for sale? i5 9400F, 16 gigabytes of DDR4, 2400 megahertz, GTX 1066 gigabyte, 5600X, 16 gigabyte, RTX 26. Any help on these? So you're in Aussie. You donated the Aussie dollars. I'm assuming you're in Australia. I would go with the first one. I'd price that. I mean, you're not probably going to like it, but that'd go locally here. That with the GTX 1066 gigabyte, you're looking at like 750 max Aussie, which would be like 500 US. But even then, I would actually sell the i5 9400F and try and get an i7 in there, and then use the 1066 gigabyte in another build with an i7. Dude, i7s, you need to be on that i7 meta when it comes to selling Intel. People look at i5, especially an i5 9400F, and they're gonna think, oh man, 6 cores, 6 threads, that's not enough. No way. Get me out of here. What's this guy doing? Like, this is like actual real mindset of people buying the PCs. So I'd sell the 9400F, get what you can for it, try and get an i7, change the GPU around, and then you're looking at like 1100, 1200 bucks for the PC now. Easy. Actually, maybe even more. If you can get like an RTX 3060 Ti coupled in with it, you can go up to as high as 1400 with a good RGB. Ryzen 5 5600X, 16 gigabytes, and RTX 2060. That's a pretty balanced system. Even though you could push the GPU a little bit more, but you probably get around $1,000 for that. If you're in it, like, it depends where you live. Like me personally, I'd be selling this system with a 5600X system with 16 gig of RAM and a 2060. I'd be selling this for around, off the top of my head, like 900-ish. That would be where I'd stand. Even though I think you could do a lot more with this, these GPUs aren't good enough for these CPU combos sort of thing. Like, I'd be going with the 3060 with the 5600X. Then you can step that up to like 1250. Huge jump up in price, and people will pay it. And so hopefully that helps with those. Question, Brian, I got blocked and had to recycle. Brian, what is the difference between first degree and third degree direct GPU price discrimination? What do you mean there? Question got blocked. What is the difference between first degree and third degree direct the DGPU price discrimination? That would have something to do with the retailers, man. I've actually never heard that term used. You'd have to enlighten me on what in particular term. Are you talking about like back-end retail first, like HP and Dell and stuff, versus say, yeah, that's a weird, like, you got to rephrase that for me, man, because I've actually never dealt with those terms before. Is the RX 6600 your favorite also? Yeah. So they're like two of my favorite. I got some favorites when it comes to GPUs. I got my favorites, RTX 3060 Ti, and I got the 3080, and then there's the 3090, and then on the AMD side, 6700 XT, 6800 XT, and also the 6600. They're like my three favorite GPUs on both sides. First segment by first segment, perfect price, and third supply run end up price. Sorry, I'll have to answer those after stream, bro. Like, I'm just reading and I'm like, my head's going in. Sorry. You'll have to, like, yeah. Like, you have to, yeah, like, I got to break that down. That's just like, my brain isn't working on reading that stuff at the moment. Big brain on ARC. Yeah, you got to have big brain power, man. I've juiced up all my big brain power. Tears Lost in Sin. When do you expect a 4080 Ti? Ugh, like a year away, dude. They're going to be milking the current stack that they're releasing. So 4080 Ti will probably be a bit later. I sold my 8700K for Z370 ROG for 350 Aussie dollars. I'm in Sydney. Was it a good sale? It was mediocre. I mean, the ROG board's pretty desirable, but yeah, that's a pretty good sale. It's not bad. It's fair value. That's actually fair value sale kind of thing, considering it's a ROG board. So that's the sales point there. People love a Zeus ROG, man. They absolutely love it. Like, that's one thing that actually stands out if you're selling parts. ROG. I know people who just like, their GPU has to be in a Zeus ROG. If it's not, they won't buy it. Like, it's actually crazy the power that ROG has. Zipirate. I just bought a $300 laptop with Ryzen 5 5500 APU for my brother. Adding another memory stick for dual channel next week. The cat pissed on his old laptop. Oh, damn. Well, at least he's getting a good upgrade there. So the cat pissed on the laptop, man. That's condolences, man, in chat too. Hopefully you get that thing back up and running pretty soon. You still use Facebook at all? Yeah, I use Facebook Marketplace. That's really all I use Facebook for nowadays. Other than that, Facebook, I don't really engage a whole lot in Facebook. Sorry for that. Twitter's the spot for engagement. It's just so easy. Anything over $650 for a 70 class is absurd. Yeah, the pricing's still absurd, man. I think their pricing's going to come down due to economic conditions. At Tech City, do you still have your 3800 XT? I always thought that was a cool CPU, even though the big guys dismissed it. Actually, no, I flipped that a long time ago, the 3800 XT. 7900 XT at 860 pounds, or wait for XTX to come in stock. Wait for the XTX to come in stock, yeah. Don't buy the XT. Like from what I haven't even got an XT, but from what I'm seeing with performance numbers from a lot of other review sites, it's performing actually well under an XTX. And you might as well just get the best that AMD has to offer if you're going that route. MSI or ASRock for motherboard, I hate Zeus Gigabyte. I use ASRock, bro. I've used them for years. I absolutely love ASRock. They're a channel sponsor as well, but it doesn't bias anything. If they were crap, I wouldn't push ASRock on my channel, period. But their boards are just that good. Their BIOSes are amazing, settings, everything works really well. They got the internet flash as well. Then they got the BIOS RGB control. So for the high end, they offer way better options than the competitors. I mean, the competitors are starting to crack on, but like ASRock's doing things in the motherboard, things that I just like. So, but yeah, like a lot of ASRock, like ASRock cops a lot of crap from other YouTubers because I think they're just a Taiwan brand and their culture is Taiwan. They're not used to the Western culture. And so yeah, things that they say on their website, broken English and stuff, I see YouTubers just take it and absolutely rag on ASRock so much. I think ASRock get dragged through the mud on YouTube way more than they ought to be, when they actually, like, the majority of their stack of motherboards are really good. And like when you look at other motherboard manufacturers, the things that ASRock get accused of, especially with the really cheap motherboards, the other motherboard manufacturers are doing it too. So why don't these other YouTubers call out like MSI for making a really cheap B660 that absolutely sucks? Yet they'll go buy the cheapest ASRock B660 and then just rag all over ASRock. Like, that's really something that needs to, like, it's a bias against ASRock. So that's something I have seen on YouTube that sort of really just gives ASRock a bad brand name, when if you look at their Steel Legend boards, ASRock Steel Legend boards are like the go-to for value. If you just want to put a CPU in, put your memory in, put your XMPs in, and have a really good audio and really good experience, Steel Legend's going to provide that really good board for the money. Thanks for Vintage Hardware Review. Thanks for the NZ5. Thanks, brother. You've been going hard this stream. I swapped my old Cooler Master MWE 750 power supply for a Gigabyte 990 FX board with 8350 and 16 gigabytes of RAM. Was this a good deal? I mean, fair. It's a fair deal, I guess. Everyone got what they wanted, so I'd say fair deal. Not great on both ends. Like, it's just a fair deal on both. I mean, I'd probably go for the 750 watt power supply if it worked fine. That'd be me. FX, man. FX is just horrible to deal with. I actually had someone donated 5 FX motherboards the other day, and I think one of them works. Only one of them works. And I went through and wasted all this time on these FX boards, and they were just like, yeah, if you want to look at faulty motherboards, go to the FX line of CPUs, and the motherboards there failed so much, especially the 970 series. Heaps of those failed. Hey Brian, is X570 still a good buy in 2023, considering current price of new hardware? Absolutely. X570 is really good. Same with B550, B450. So there it is there. Is the Corsair CV650 good? Why didn't ASRock release the B660 MPG Riptide? Yeah, I'm going to be looking into that, man. I'm going to be looking into why they didn't release the Riptide. There's a reason for that. Sorry, my camera, the second battery's gone now. But if we look at the ASRock, I'll get the other battery back in. So I actually, like, I made a mistake this live stream. I forgot to plug in my camera charger battery. So my batteries were like already half dead. So B660M Riptide, So we'll have to close, like, I'll try the other battery and see if I can, like, slip around and micromanage the charging on the batteries. But hopefully, this is the Riptide here. So this one actually never got released, at least from what I can check. If we look at the markets, and I've been asking ASRock about this motherboard, it's elusive. Now the reason this motherboard's so good is because you can overclock non-K CPUs. So not only do you get overclocking out of a B660 motherboard, you get to overclock the non-K SKUs. This was absolutely insane, but apparently it is available from China, so okay. But it's not worth 300 bucks. Like, no way. Your differential, like, it's not worth 300 bucks. The differential there is insane. So you could just buy a decent Z690 and the K CPU for that split. Just a second. We'll try the other camera battery, see if I can juggle. Like, this is... I think we got, like... Okay, we've got, I think, we're back, but we got like 5 minutes on this camera maybe. So I actually can juggle up a live stream by changing batteries now that they're both not charged. So here it is here, the B660 Riptide. I'll show you guys here. The B660 Riptide is the board that could overclock non-K, and it was a B660, but yeah, it never got released like properly to Newegg and Australia retail channels, UK as well. This motherboard was, yeah. Okay. All right. Sorry, I'm just reading Mike Broswan. Okay, Brian, a macroeconomic economist can look up DGPU price at application, perfect price segment by segment on return on investment or and difference with third degree price discrimination on supply, like 10% air seats, travel special. Okay, man, you've got to, like, you're talking like a lot of, you know, B2B speak there, brother. Like, I'll have to talk after stream. Like, I just got no idea what you're trying to say in that bit, man. So you have to break that one down for me, brother. Yeah, black screen, yes, City, that's where we're at. I have used Steel Legend boards for years, never had one crap out. ASRock rocks. Yeah, you guys are going in chat, so thanks heaps as well. So, like, wow, man, chat's absolutely blowing off. I can't even keep up now, so... okay. Sorry, guys. I've just got to have a brain. I just got to collect my thoughts here. Any encoding PC builds coming up on Tech Yes City? Encoding? What would you guys want to see from an encoding PC? That's actually an interesting one. If you guys have any sort of ideas, pre-pitched ideas, let me know. And I can try and see what I can get used and put together something banger. GN is one of the only ones who call out MSI all the time. Yeah, MSI's a funny one, man. MSI's a funny one. I've had, like, if out of all the motherboard companies, I've only had proper, like, run-ins with MSI. So, in terms of, like, stuff that companies do, and I think it's unethical, I've only ever had run-ins with MSI. Out of any other, like, Asus are fine, Gigabyte are fine, ASRock are fine. I've only ever had problems with ASRock, and that's because it was, like, personal stuff, right? They were like, hey, Brian, you know, you review this motherboard, you can keep it, man. It was like a titanium motherboard or something back in the day. They sent the motherboard over, and I reviewed it, and then they're sending a courier over trying to pick up the motherboard. And I'm like, hey, you said I could keep it for testing and to keep it, like, as a benchmark motherboard after I was done with the review. And so, like, they like... I don't think that was messing up with comms. I just thought that was, I don't know what was going on in MSI. And they did this numerous times to me as well. Numerous times where they tried to, like, con a video out of me and then, like, take all the hardware back. And I'm like, well, what incentive do I have to even make a video, like, for you guys? You know, what do I get? Just, hey, Brian, 4K record, spend all your time video editing, and then we'll take everything off. And hey, you know, why doesn't MSI even make me pay the postage as well? Like, hey, Brian, like, why don't you pay the postage as well? Then you'll be a negative. You'll be in negative territory. So yeah, why didn't ASRock release it? I've actually got to get an answer out of them though. The B660 Riptide, I'll try and get an answer out of them though. So, all right, let's try and catch up on chat. Out of curiosity, hardware reviewed out of curiosity, what board was it? Z170 titanium, I think, out at like ages ago. Yeah, the battery is actually holding up pretty well now. So What system do you recommend that's easy to upgrade on the cheap? B550, Ryzen 550, 500. You kind of got an upgrade path there with a 5900X. So that's easy. And Brian, you can buy a plug-in wall adapter for your Sony S3. I know this. See, this is the thing. Very good advice. You can get a plug-in adapter. You can actually just plug in a USB cable and charge it. Thing is, I usually am able to cover a whole live stream off just one fully charged battery. Problem was, the cable somehow was accidentally unplugged for the charger and I didn't notice. And then I started live streaming and then I noticed the battery level. I'm like, whoa, you know, when you kind of you're in so deep that you kind of can't dig yourself out. That's kind of where we went with the battery level. You're like, all right, here we go. Let's see how this turns out. So that, I guess that's the age-old saying, right? It's better to just leap and then ask for forgiveness than, or whatever. What's that saying again? It's better to do something and then ask for forgiveness later than to try and ask for permission. I love that saying. If someone can get the proper terminology for it, that's how I live, man. Just do something and ask for forgiveness. Answer, best price to performance RTX, mid to high end, 3060 Ti. Those Taichi boards are great. Just buy those. Yeah, I mean, ASRock boards are killing it, man. Real quick, any new sponsors coming now that Corsair has disappeared? Yeah, so I actually am in the talks with Antec because Antec are really cool. Antec, I was definitely digging their brand, especially their cases. They got some cool stuff going on. So I am in talks of bringing on another channel sponsor, but oh man, I do need I look at how YouTube's going and I do need a break as well. I look at all my friends and my friends have a few weeks off every year. Some friends will have a month off every year. I get no time off. I kind of want to have a month off YouTube, just or even 2 months. Would that be too much to ask? Would you guys be okay if I jumped off YouTube for 2 months? No videos at all. No vids 2023, no vid 23. There's COVID-19, there could be no vid 23. And just make that happen. So, all right, guys. We're just running through these questions, man. You guys left me in a loop here where I'm backlogged. I'm just going through. If there's no question mark, would your camera be able to run without battery? Maybe. Maybe. Hey, should I just take it out and get a black screen? ASRock entry-level Z790 is good for 13700K. I heard high temperatures at VRAM. Is that the case? You'd have to tell me which motherboard in particular. If you're gaming, see, this is another thing about motherboards. Let's go into motherboards quickly. When you're reviewing a motherboard, right, this is a big thing that I see with motherboard reviews. Is your test, a lot of these motherboard, even when I do motherboard reviews, I'm guilty of this. Running these stress tests that a lot of people just aren't going to do with that CPU. Say for instance, you get a 13700K, you get a Z790, and you're playing Call of Duty for instance. Your VRM is going to be absolutely fine. If you're gaming, your CPU is not going to be pegged at 100% like it would be in Cinebench or it would be in Blender. So a lot of these motherboard reviews are for people who want, say for instance, are more for workstation people, workstation orientated tasks. And even then, if I look at my workstation and I'm in Premiere Pro, my CPU's up and down like a yo-yo. My VRM is fine. Even if I don't even have a heatsink on a Z690 Mini ITX, absolutely fine. So motherboard reviews, I'm going to actually start doing gaming VRM temperatures and then max theoretical temperatures because there's a big difference between the two. And that's why a lot of companies will make their entry-level models, they won't do that well when you're running them through Blender or Cinebench because they know the majority of the people buying those are just gamers who want to get the best value for money. And when it comes to games, that motherboard will be absolutely fine. So if it's throttling when it's gaming or the temperatures are getting really high when it's gaming, then there's a big problem. But I think most of the time, a lot of motherboard reviews, there's a big difference there between the two. I lost faith in them. Okay, something about losing faith in people losing faith in Nvidia. I mean, I lost faith in the central banks 2020. That's where I lost my faith. And what you're seeing with Nvidia and AMD and Intel is just them reacting. That's what they're doing. They're reacting, which is funny because a lot of these companies are usually proactive. I have a H510E motherboard and a 10400. If I upgrade to an i7 11700, Do you think I need a better Mobo? Undervolt. You should like check if you can undervolt on the H510E Mobo. Check if you can go into the BIOS and undervolt. Get the i7-11700, undervolt it. Should be okay with that H510, believe it or not. I think you can do basic undervolting with that combo, because most of them will just have CPU offset minus the voltage until you hit the sweet spot. Bang, that CPU is now using a lot less power, a lot less heat, and the motherboard's coping a lot easier. I have the B660G Asus. It's a beast with 12100, stable 5.1 gigahertz. That's actually really good. Who says you need 120 FPS in most games? Yeah, only really for like racing games or FPS would you need that much FPS. Other than that, you don't really need it. How did you get that chip to 5.1 gigahertz? He did it with magic. He is the voodoo man. B660 can overclock a K CPU. Only the ones with the external timers. So ASRock doesn't have the best boards, but they like to mess with Intel and have plenty of non-K. Yeah, back in the day they had heaps. Brian, I'm trying to save some money and wait out the existing line of GPUs, RX 6000 and RTX 3000 in Canada. However, the stock is slowly depleting before the prices reaches its lowest. Recommendations. Used market, brother. Check out the used market. Is there any like reason like you don't want to buy used at all? And if so, like February for new should be like a pretty good time for cheap GPUs, but you gotta remember a lot of this stuff will be getting cleared out. But I mean, RX 6600s, they're gonna be fine. RX 7800 XTs will slow down because the 7900 XT exists. So until they get like the higher end RTX 3000 and RX 6000 series GPUs will start to slow down in stock because they're making the newer GPUs at those price segments that they want to sell. So they won't probably come down in price if you're buying new. But if you go on the used market, you're going to get a really good deal on high-end RX 6000 and RTX 3000 for even another year to come. That's just that there. So, okay. Remember their CEO jumped off their building. Oh, yeah, that was MSI. Man, like, yeah, we're not going to go there on this live stream. Mike Broswan, you can look it up. Yeah, brother, like, sorry, Mike, I'm reading like heaps of questions, brother. I'll get on to you after the live stream. I got to get on to Josh as well, sorry. Okay, so Stefani Blue Menthol, $10 donation. Thanks, brother. I picked up the Phantom Gaming B660M Riptide in combo with a 12490F for 400 AUD from JD. Really? Like, you gotta be 12490F. Now you actually got me curious. Like, what? I've never even heard of a 12490F. Let's have a look. Man, okay, 12. Is it 12400? 12? Yeah, wait, there is someone selling. Okay, I haven't even heard of a 12490F. Okay, this is actually a thing. Interesting pickup there, man. That must have been a CDM. That's a Chinese domestic market import then from JD.com. Okay. Yeah, well, it's actually JD.com is the Chinese flipping. They sell, like, that's the place for CDM products. Okay. So there you go there. 12, it exists. Wow, okay. And you got threads 12. That looks like a pretty solid CPU, man. So that must be like a special meta for overclocking 6 cores, 12 threads. You're going to get some really good performance out of that. Wow. That's interesting. That's interesting to hear that one. So thanks for the $10 donation too. Yeah, JD's like AliExpress, but like I think it's for China only. Like they don't ship internationally. Redacted member for 11 TYC supporter. Thanks, Redacted. Thanks for the subscription, man. For 11 months. Thanks, brother. Okay. Okay, we got here. Hello everyone, hey Take City, hey Brian, hey man, what's cracking? We are just on live, we're closing off, there's a lot of questions coming through and I don't want to miss out, like I don't want to make sure anyone's missed out. Is there any way to enable rebar for a 1080 Ti, maybe a hack? I don't know, man, and I wouldn't like, you know, for a 1080 Ti, are you going to get the huge gains? Like you're looking at RX 6600 performance, so like even then, is it going to be like a big hit, a step up for you? So, I mean, you're going to be like, especially with NVIDIA, if it was AMD, I'd probably go for it. There might be some workaround, but NVIDIA like locked down their drivers so hard. It's actually insane. So I wouldn't bother. Like even if there was some hack for the 1080 Ti to get it to work, I wouldn't bother. Hey, Brian, where's little Brian? Is the mum in there as well? Sorry, mum's back in Japan. Mum decided not to come to Australia. She just like, funny thing about Kay's mum, that's my son's mum, she's never had any time to herself. Like, actually never just had her own time where she can just do, like, she's told me ever since she left high school, she's always had a man hanging around, or if it wasn't a man, it was like the little boy, right? So she's never just had her time to be just by herself. And so she actually wanted that time by herself. And I was like, all right, cool. And she's just relaxed. She's doing her thing. Kay's just playing some Pokemon right now. He wants Pokemon time. So I'm like, well, I'll live stream, you know, if he wants to play some Pokemon on his Nintendo Switch, I'll live stream. So yeah, he's just playing some Pokemon. I'm going to take him to fireworks later. So he's going to, we're going to try and go 2 sets of fireworks. One at Emerald Lakes, which is close by, and then one at like Robina Town Center. So if you guys are on the Gold Coast, you should go to fireworks. So we're going to take a little bit of some fireworks tonight. Tech Care City. So also we've got Redacted with the $5 donation. Don't be afraid to take some time off. Jan, early Feb is a good time to do it. Take a break and focus on your health, and family will support you. Thanks, brother. Yeah, so like in terms of health, I'm feeling really good. Like health is absolutely not a problem. I will say that some of my friends coming back here, like guys, always put your health like really up there. Blood flow. Remember, never forget blood flow. Good diet, and drink your water. Drink your green tea. Make sure, like I'm drinking tea here, Earl Grey, right? Earl Grey. So Buzz Lightyear is always, make sure you're getting tea into your system. Always get a good amount of tea. This is why I make fun with these tea cups, but it is no joke. There's some good stuff in there, you know what I mean? So always take care of your health. In terms of my health, I'm sleeping a lot better in Australia than I was in Japan. I'm still trying to figure out exactly what it is. Like in Japan, I was actually sleeping pretty poorly. In Australia, I'm sleeping extremely well here. And I'm just getting like, I don't know, like I'll go, why as well? Like we talk about everything in the live stream. So why as well go on to the topic of sleep? So like I'm used to just closing my eyes, and sometimes it'll take me 10, 15 minutes to get to sleep. But then I'll wake up and I won't remember anything that happened. Like it's just like blackouts. I call it blackout sleep. So I always like to get blackout sleep, whether it's like 6, 7, sometimes 8 hours if I'm really tired. I usually get 6 to 8 hours. That's like my blackout sleep. And so in Japan, I was constantly like, I'd either wake up and then I'd get like half, like it's just like real sort of, they say bimyo or tektor, like really just half-ass sleep. And like in Japan, I was getting a lot of that half-ass sleep. And so I really couldn't put it down to really anything in particular. And so, yeah, I couldn't figure that one out. But in Australia, I'm just sleeping like a baby. And it's like, it's insane, the difference. I don't know if it's the weather. Perhaps it's just the weather. But that's one thing. Like if we want to talk about like what's going on with my health, I just couldn't figure that out. So if you guys have got like some, like, why would you think that would be? I'm all ears. And everyone I talk to is kind of like, you know, the misso, she thinks it's all in my head. She thinks like placebo. And I'm like, no, like once you go to sleep, right, your body is not thinking. You're sleeping. There's no placebo going on. You're sleeping and then you wake up. But she thinks like there's placebo going on. And if I think I can sleep good, I will sleep good. The power of positive thinking. And I'm like, no, there's something else going on in Japan that prevents me from getting really good blackout sleep. So I think she gave something away as well, where she was like, she was telling me like, okay, like, yeah, half-ass sleep's kind of normal. I'm like, no, it's not for me anyway. So like, let me know in chat, is like half-ass sleep where you're like in and out and you can kind of remember waking up in the morning, is that normal for you guys, or do you get blackout sleep as well? Like I'm a big advocate on full-fledged blackout sleep, where you shut your eyes 10, 15 minutes, whatever, however long it takes, but when you get to sleep, you're waking up and you just like, you don't remember anything. You just like, it's like time didn't exist when you're sleeping. That's how I prefer my sleep. Much like I prefer my poached eggs over fried eggs or whatever. Brian, how do you deal with sellers who ghost you? Found a good deal on video card, then this week he stopped replying to messages even if it shows that he read them. Lost no money, so all good. Yeah, dude, people are gonna ghost you, man. Like, I just move on, dude. If you find a deal and someone just ghosts you, don't worry about it. Like, do not worry. People ghost me all the time, brother. I get ghosted a lot when I do deals hunts. You should see the amount of messages I send out. I'd say 30% of the people actually get back to me. And then from there, like maybe 20%, 15% I haggle. And then they agree with me. So, yeah. That's it. So, anyway. So there it is there. So, all right. So we got some feedback as well with the sleep. So we'll go through that. Like, we got some heaps of blackout sleep is really deep sleep. If you have dreams or nightmares, that means your sleep is not good. Okay. I'm just reading back some of the feedback here in the chat. It takes a few moments to attach to the world. Same. Must be because you're not able to hear the curlew birds screeching at 2 a.m. Maybe, yeah. Maybe it's like the ambient noises in Australia. I'm just so used to it. EMF. See, I didn't want to go into that. But that is where, see, here's the thing. Here's the kicker, right? In Australia here, Dadman has put up a concrete reinforced home. This home here is concrete reinforced, steel reinforcing. Now, essentially, that works, believe it or not, as a Faraday cage in this house. My mobile reception is really weak in this house. It's like one little bar, but that's something I've been thinking, EMF, believe it or not. You might call me crazy, but yeah, that's something I kind of didn't want to go into because maybe I'll get called a nut job, but hey, whatever. Someone mentioned it in chat. But this house here that I live in at the moment here in Australia is concrete reinforced, steel reinforced. It's like acts as essentially as a Faraday cage, which is actually really fascinating that someone mentioned EMF. And so in Japan, you've just got these tiny homes and they're not like, there's not much to them. So signal, like in my house in Japan, in my apartment, there is over 40 Wi-Fi signals that come into that apartment. Over 40. If I pull up a map of all the Wi-Fi signals, it's insane. It's like you're just getting bombarded with EMF. I don't know. It's something I got to look into, but that's one theory I had. Absolutely take a break. So Kali undescribed, thanks brother for $5. Absolutely take a break, we'll support. But I'm sure, but if you're concerned, just pre-schedule some videos to auto-release while you're gone. Yeah, so I'll probably do that. I'll probably just boss my ass off and get a heap of videos scheduled and then keep Tech Yes going, but I'll be taking a break in the background. So if you don't get any hearts on the comments or no replies in the comments in January or February or something like that, don't be surprised. I'll try and do that. I think that's a good mix. But your subconscious knows all. Okay. So you guys think it's a subconscious. Your brain is always active. Anxiety can prevent good sleep. Yeah, that's true. So my Japanese wife thinks the same. It's all in your head. Joe. I love it. So yeah, like it's all in your head. That's it. Like that's I don't think it's just a Japanese wife, bro. I think it's all wives. They all think it's in your head. Whenever there's a problem, it's all in your head. Anxiety sleep is not normal. You're subconsciously worried. Yeah, so why would I be worried in Japan? Why would I be worried in Japan and then not worried in Australia? That's just weird then. Maybe I'm worried that the sushi monster's going to get me. Oh my God, there's going to be like a tsunami and then there's going to be all sushi in the tsunami. It's going to wash me up. No, Japanese beds are bad. I hate it. No, I've got a Western bed in Japan, dude. I got like pretty much the same bed that I sleep in here. It's that medium firm with a topper. The bed's not the problem. I got the medium firm with the topper, brother. So yeah, like trust me when it comes. I'm not using a futon, dude. I tried a futon. Yeah, like if I was getting bad sleep on a normal bed in Japan, I wouldn't even be sleeping on a futon in Japan. Like, dude, I woke up. I remember I tried a futon like one night in my 20s in Japan. And dude, I woke up with the sorest back. Like the futons are brutal. If you guys don't know what a futon is, I'll show you what a futon is. Like this is like hardcore Japanese sleeping, right? You've got the futon. And it's like literally just like a blanket on the floor. Like this is, yeah, and they call it traditional. It's like, yeah, traditional backache. So you'll see this kind of thing here. It's just a futon, right? It's like just a blanket on the floor. And so you'll wake up with the sorest back and the sorest shoulders. And then, I had one dude, like I remember one of my friends, when he was like, when I was over there, we were like, this is in the younger days, right? He was like, oh man, you get used to it. And then like 6 months later, he's literally, I go to his house, we're having drinks. And he's got a normal bed. I'm like, bro, like, what is this? He's like, oh yeah, man, I couldn't stand it anymore. I'm like, yeah, of course, bro. The futon's harsh, like harsh reality, man. But if you're doing a futon, man, I admire you, bro. Like, your body must be made of steel. Like, you know that X-Men character who turns into steel. Man, that's it. So I don't sleep properly unless I'm at home. When I stay away from home, my sleep is broken. Me and my wife use white noises and rain sounds to help us sleep. Okay. See, I got to try some of that. Like, I've actually got to try some of that other stuff, eh? Okay, that comment about dreams is literally backwards. Dreams means you're sleeping well. Actually, this is something we've never gone into live stream. I don't mind. Like, for me, this is fascinating talking about sleep. I don't mind because it's such an important part of your day, man. It's so important. Sleep is like so underrated. We should actually be talking about sleep. Hey, if you strike up a conversation at New Year's tonight with your friends, just talk to them about sleep. Like, hey, brother, how many hours a night do you sleep? Is it blackout sleep or is it just half-assed sleep? And see what they say. Like, yeah, like I got to start talking to more people about sleep. I find it interesting, like rain noises and stuff. I'm actually going to try that. Like, that's actually really cool. I'm glad I'm not the only one who's like really temperamental about my sleep. Like, do you practice pitch black? Yeah, so like I've been practicing. So we put the phones a good like 5 meters away from the bed. So we make sure our phones are well away from the bed when we sleep, and the lights are all pitch black. That's something I do as well. So, like you're a microwave indeed in Japan. Yeah, okay. So it's a house for everybody. So you're talking about Colossus who turns into steel. Yeah, Colossus. Yeah. So you need to be Colossus to sleep on a futon regularly. That's it. This guy. Yeah. There he is. Yeah, you need to be this dude to sleep on the futon in Japan. If you're not Colossus, you can't do it. Or you can, but maybe you're like pre-Colossus. You're like in mutation phase to do a futon in Japan. I have 2 nieces that have been trained to go to sleep with white noise. It is very interesting. Okay, that's cool. I dream when laid out. You guys are actually throwing in some cool things. I named, hey, would you blow me? Got me again, $5 donation there. I'm named after my grandmother. Okay. Back to the trolling. So we got sleeping and trolling. This is the new theme and where the live stream's going. But I've only got 2% battery left, so I'm going to close this. I'm going to close off this live stream soon. Sorry, someone dropped in a comment, but they swore as well, so it got filtered. Sorry. He said I effed up my sleep schedule years ago. Now I sleep less than 6 hours. I got YouTube going in the background. Okay. That's it. Like, background stuff helps. So that's it's interesting. Lucid dreaming is the deepest sleep. Okay. I just like blackout sleep because I feel good whenever I wake up. So if I get good blackout sleep, like 6 hours or more, I feel great in the morning. So that's why I just need to make sure I keep getting that. So, but sleeping is just such an underrated topic. It's such a, like, I think it's something that I want to engage more in conversation and try new things, trial and error. But believe this is another thing as well. I don't know what it is, but chelated magnesium. If I haven't been taking chelated magnesium, I won't sleep that well as well. I've noticed there's a correlation for me with chelated magnesium supplement and sleeping better. So, Peter C, if you sleep face down in Japan, you sleep face up in Australia. See, Peter C, that is actually true. Maybe there's some truth to that stuff. Man, I love these comments. So yeah, we're upside down in Australia. So maybe I've got used to sleeping on my face in America and Japan. So might have to try that one. Problem is my nose is pretty big. So like my nose isn't like, it's a bony nose, right? So it'll hurt if I can't press my nose into the pillow because my nose will be taking all the force. Like, let's have a good look at that big nose on live stream. Like, you know, this thing's actually a bit of a tank. So like if I push that into a pillow, there's bone like all the way to here. That's not like, you know, it's not going to go well. Like, it just hurts. So that, you know, it's a bit of a plonker. Yeah, so that's where I'm going there. So unfortunately, if I had a real small soft nose, I could do the face down, but I can't do face down with this nose. Kevin Lai, $5 Aussie. When I go to sleep, sometimes I feel like I'm frozen on the bed, unable to move or speak, but my eyes are open. It's a really good feeling. Yeah, so that's weird. Thanks for the donation, brother. That's a weird one. Yeah, so like sometimes it's like, yeah, you're there, but you like it's not good sleep. That's all it is. Like if I'm sleeping like that, Kevin, it's just not good quality sleep. For me, it's always the blackout stuff. That's what I want. My Japanese ex-wife, I would sleep in her weird bed, then go to sleep on the couch when he was done having fun. Okay. So he preferred the couch to the futon. My man, I would too. I'd take the couch over the futon. I just don't know why, for the love of God, you would have fun on the futon. Like your knees would get sore, dude. You know what I mean? So even Superman needs a bed. Is that the question? I sleep 12 hours a night. What's wrong with me? No, that's good, man. I'm jealous. Like I'd love to have a 12 hours a night sleep as well. Diet and sleep is so important to your quality of life. Agree. Yeah, awesome, guys. So yeah, I mean, this is something we'll close off the stream with, but that's it. Like, it's actually such an important topic. If you guys want to drop comments after the stream about it, something we can brainstorm and correlate and see what works for some people. But yeah, we all want to be making sure we're getting really good quality sleep. We got here Kevin Burnell. Maybe make this final question. What about a used PC challenge against Steve at Gamers Nexus? He is running an old FX system at home. I bet he would like a break from their normal content and upgrade for him. Yeah, any of these YouTubers, man. I'm like with Gamers Nexus, anyone. I'm always up for a challenge, man. Anyone. Like, it's up to them. Like to sort of want to make it happen, man. If one of them says, "Yep, let's do it," I'm all on board. Let's get this started. I'm always on board with collabing, especially if it's challenges. Any YouTuber, man, anytime, any place. Like, so how do you recover to a 4 hour on 4 hour off or 6 hour on 6 hour off? You don't, like, that's harsh, man. If you're doing those schedules, man, I haven't tried those schedules. That's brutal. I know some people that do, like, yeah, like 16 hours. Like I used to know a friend who slept 2 hours a day and he keeps going. I don't know how you do that. It's insane. Some people can just work on no sleep. I need at least 6 hours to be like functional. Otherwise I feel like a zombie. And it's like, you're there, but you're not there. You're like looking around like, whoa, what's going on? Ooh, and people call me stoned. I'm like, bro, I haven't smoked any weed. Like I'm not stoned. So like, yeah, sleeping's really good. Check out Andrew Huberman podcast. He has some episodes on sleep and he knows his stuff. Thanks, brother. All right, I'll check that out. Anyway, guys, you all have a happy new year. If you're anywhere in the world, make sure you have an awesome night and do your thing. Thanks so much for the donos. Thanks so much for jumping in chat. Thanks so much for jumping in the conversation. I love each and every one of you. Have an awesome New Year's. Make sure you see some fireworks or just have some fun. Make sure you take a bit of time off and spend that time with your loved ones. And I'll catch you guys in another tech video very soon. Sorry for not making any end of New Year's parts hunt happen. I was just taking some time off myself and doing my thing. But it will be coming soon. Don't worry. We'll be coming soon. We'll get back to some hard used content before we head back to Japan. So we'll see you in the next year, brothers. Have a happy new year and have a great time. And me, my family, Dad Man, Little B, to you guys. And yeah, so we'll just go. We'll go for it. Make sure we wish you all a happy new year. And I'll catch you guys in the next tech video very soon. And thanks for tuning in, guys. And don't worry, in terms of prices are going to get better for PC parts as well. It's only getting better. Well, inflation adjusted anyway. It'll get better. So the inflation thing's probably going to make it seem like the prices are going up. I mean, inflation could get worse, but we'll cover that next year. Anyway, but prices on the used market never been better than they have been in a few years. Go look for some used bargains. Get yourself a bargain as well. Have a happy new year, and I'll catch you guys